Yo, so I just found a YouTube channel that really kind of like makes me scared. When you see this channel, you're gonna be like, DJ, how is that scary? But trust me, bro, this channel, the more you look at it, gets so scary. Okay, so the name of this channel is The Jokester. This is their profile picture. They only have 2,000 subscribers, but read their bio. I'm just a goofy little guy that wants to spread joy and laughter throughout the world. New video every day at 9 a.m. The first ever video that this Jokester channel uploaded was a video called Frog Jokes. You click on this video, you can see. So imagine one day you were just sleeping, you were just like, and then you look down, you're like, oh my gosh, there's 1,000 ants crawling all over my, you know what I mean? That'd be pretty crazy, right? To have 1,000 ants in your house. We can all agree. Well, this guy right here actually does have 1,000 ants in his house. He posted this video that says 1,000 ants versus different challenges. Apparently, he put his pet ants, which already, what? Why do you have pet ants? He put his pet ants through a bunch of challenges to try to get a strawberry. We're about to watch this video. This is gonna be insane. I don't know how this guy has so many damn ants. Like, what'd you do? Go outside and dig them up? I don't know. Let's react to this. Let's go.
Ants are known for being some of the smartest insects to walk.
Yeah, low-key, I agree with that. Ants are very smart. They're smarter than you think. They got a small, tiny brain, but they're actually super smart. So let's see them.
So I was wondering, if I put my 1,000 ants up against custom challenges, could they complete them, or would they simply fail?
Well, I don't know. So that's why I gathered up my 1,000
Bro
ant
actually has 1,000 ants in his house. What do your parents think about this?
colony and have prepared 4 brand new ant obstacles.
Okay, he's got 4 challenges.
The first of which is a custom ant nest, which I'm going to be releasing my colony into. Now, this is going to be interesting, because while there's this whole top area for the ants to explore around, there's also this 2D ant nest on the side of the glass that the ants can dig tunnels out all around. But lurking under this 2D nest is an insect layer filled with tons of crickets.
Wait, so when the ants make it down to the bottom, they're gonna meet their demise. What do you, I mean, you must love these ants if you have 1,000 of them. Why are you gonna put them up against crickets? The crickets are gonna kill the ants.
The ants are gonna have to dig into, and we'll see whether they attack the crickets or whether the crickets go crazy running through all the tunnels. I have no clue.
Ants, I know you want the crickets. You best start digging.
And thankfully, I didn't have to wait long, because this species of ant is literally hardwired to want to dig. Yes, sir. They started to turn into little excavating machines, and within only a couple hours, so much progress was made, and the ants were getting dangerously close to the insect cave. I know this side of the glass is slightly dirty, so it's a little hard to see, but if you look closely, you can see how single ants will pick up individual grains of sand, walk all the way to the surface to drop them off, and yeah, then they just repeat that process. Anyways, it was starting to get quite late for me, so I decided to go to sleep, and when I came back in the morning,
I was in the same room as these ants? In the intro, I was joking. I was like, imagine if you had a bunch of ants. Bro actually lives with these ants. What are you thinking, bruh?
Amazed by what I saw.
Okay, guys, I just woke up and take a look at this ant colony. I did not expect them to dig all of this out overnight. But wait, are they down here? I don't think so. Looks like the crickets are fine. Wait, hold on though. That means the ants above could literally dig into the crickets any second now. Oh my gosh, bro. Wait,
perfect timing, bro.
Yup, the ants and crickets were minutes away from encountering each other. The only thing in the way was this thin layer of paper towel that the ants will have to chew through. And of course, it didn't take
paper towels? What the?
Very long until I noticed the first ants that had started to make it.
Bro, you're in for a wild discovery, buddy. These ants are like, oh, we finally made it. What's at the end? Some cheese, some sugar? Nah, bruh, crickets.
Closely, it seems like they had successfully chewed a hole through, and workers were slowly starting to squeeze inside.
Wait, yo, there's ants down here. Hold on, they literally just broke down. Oh, ooh, things are about to get interesting.
Yup, the ants were starting to infiltrate the cricket layer. Now, this ant species needs to hunt live insects in order to make sure the whole colony can be fed protein, so I was not very surprised when I noticed the ants started to gather up to form an army on the right side and slowly started to move towards the crickets until they got distracted by this jelly cricket food, which they decided to take a break and eat.
Bro, what?
Yo, ants, no way. You are just eating that jelly stuff. Wait, do you realize that there's crickets all in here? Are you guys gonna attack them, or are you just gonna eat the jelly?
But it wasn't long until one ant decided to go rogue. It started to run into the crickets, completely driving them crazy, which set off a chain reaction of the crickets, then walking into the ants, which just made everyone angry. This cricket started to get swarmed by a few of the ants, and you could see how they completely pinned it down and started to annihilate it. Yep, it's very brutal, but you just gotta keep in mind, this is how nature works, and ants need to do this. And the fact that the colony had started to infiltrate this lair shows that they meant business in taking down these crickets.
I mean, imagine getting swarmed by 1,000 ants. Like, what are you gonna do? If I, like, as a human had 1,000, I'm punching, you know what I mean? But, like, bro.
Good tonight. Not only are they still sucking up this honey stuff, they're also eating the crickets. But yeah, I guess I'll just keep time-lapsing this to see if anything interesting happens over the next day.
Yeah, as you could probably guess, over time, more and more ants swarmed this little area and eventually took out pretty much all of the crickets. I also just find it interesting how over time, ants can do so much stuff and basically completely redug out their tunnels to be concealed from the light.
Bro, it is so cool what the ants have done to this little lair down here. Since you guys passed the obstacle, you get rewarded with a bunch of food like oats and
that looks disgusting, bro.
Hopefully you guys enjoy.
And while these ants eat this food, it's time to prepare their next challenge.
Right, challenge number 2. Apparently, fish are going to be vomiting on the...
Hey, tu t'ennuies? Alors, découvre. Next challenge.
Right, challenge number 2. Apparently, fish are going to be vomiting on the ants. What? Bro has pet fish too?
Yes, sir. My 1,000 ants are going to have to survive the archer fish bridge of doom.
If you don't know what an archer fish is, well, it's this insane fish that can sit at the water surface waiting for a bug to crawl on a branch above, then they strike. They have these insane mouths that can spit beams of water to knock insects directly into the water where they are then gulped up. And in this case, the ant colony is going to have to make it across this bridge while avoiding the water streams getting shot at them.
I don't think the ants are gonna make it, bro. They have to climb across this little string that he made while these archer fish are gonna be shooting water. This is a good challenge. Good idea, bro. Good idea.
Should be fun.
All right, ants, it's time to start the challenge. Let's just connect this tube in here, and now the ants have access. Oh, and if you're wondering like where all the 1,000 ants went, they're basically all in the dirt area and the area where the crickets were, and over here, breaking down into the area where they're not supposed to go at all. Yeah, pretty much all the ants are right here. So if the ants complete this obstacle, I'm gonna give them a new nest.
But for now, the ants wasted no time to start sending their first exploring workers into the archer fish bridge.
That's the first ant, bro. Imagine being the first ant.
Ants weren't actually going to the bridge. They were mostly gathering over by this corner away from it.
At the end of the
guys,
bridge.
you know you have an obstacle to complete. But eventually, some of our ants finally started to check out the edge of the platform, where, of course, right below, their predators were waiting. Almost every single one of these archer fish were staring upwards directly in the direction of these ants, waiting for the perfect moment to shoot their stream of water. And only a few minutes later, these unlucky ants happened to be our first victims. Out of nowhere, water splashes started to get unleashed on these ants. Some of them even got directly hit and flung backwards quite a far ways away. Yeah, I guess the ants weren't really realizing exactly what was happening because they kept gathering up on this edge, where eventually one ant got directly hit straight off into the water.
Oh, guys, do you see what is happening? I'm sitting at my desk very far away from
Bro's just sitting on the couch.
Bro, they are eating up the ants right now. Oh my gosh.
Now, normally, I wouldn't want to let my ants get harmed in these kinds of videos, but in this case, it makes sense because ants make up the main diet of archer fish in the wild, and it's interesting to see how the archer fish will take a couple attempts to swallow the ant to ensure it won't be able to sting or bite anymore, and then they can get their protein. But eventually, some of our ants finally started to realize the point of the challenge and started to walk on the string, which especially it has to be risky walking upside down like this since the archer fish could shoot at any point. Thankfully, at this exact moment, none were below this little ant, so he and another ant were able to make it all the way to this first leaf.
Yo, check this out, guys. The ants have made it to checkpoint 1, and they still kind of have a long way to go.
Is he gonna give them checkpoints so if they get shot off, then they get to go back to the old checkpoint like the obbies in Roblox?
But, I mean, at least they're making progress.
But not every ant was so lucky. Many were still getting shot in and even falling off the bridge themselves. Some were getting eaten up, but most were actually getting left by themselves in the water. And only a few minutes later, I noticed something amazing. The ants that were floating on the water were coming together to grab onto each other's bodies with their legs to essentially create a mini raft. Now, massive ant colonies are known to do this in the wild to survive floods and keep all the valuable stuff like eggs on.
These fish are dumb. Just take a chomp. The fish think that this is a raft. No, it's a bunch of ants. You like eating one ant, bro. Take a bite. Holy
Yo, look at this. Oh my gosh, there is so many ants right there. And they're literally making a boat out of their bodies. Wait, is it cheating if I save these guys? Because I feel like if there's any ants that deserve to be saved, it's these guys. They're working so hard. And look at that. I can just pick them up. Oh my gosh.
Bro got brain damage.
Actually.
And yeah, don't worry, ants surprisingly can sit on water for a decent amount of time and still make a full recovery as long as they get out. So these ants should be
Except for brain
Anyways, by
damage,
this
bro
point,
just
many of the
dropped them.
ants were actually starting to make it surprisingly far on this bridge. Like this ant that made a dash to the second leaf, which now all you had to do
Bro
was
made
walk
it to
this
the
short
second
length of string
checkpoint.
to get to the finish line. And that's exactly what he did, risking his life knowing he could get
Bro's
shot
about to
down at
fall
any
off.
second. And he got so close until he decided to completely turn around and completely kind of just started to go
Is
the wrong
he
way.
dumb?
Bro, I swear, this ant has got
He's
to
got
have like
balls.
1 IQ. He was just at the finish
He's got
line. He's
balls.
just what? Okay.
He's
not
flexing
even a
on
question,
everyone
bro.
who
Let's
can't
just
make it
keep
to the
waiting
other
for
way.
Ant
All right, the
gauntlet.
next
Yes, sir.
obstacle.
And the ants happen to already be
is an
standing in the
ant
exact enclosure
gauntlet.
where this challenge will be taking place. You see, the ants are gonna have to walk into this place that says start and go through 4 different rooms to eventually get to the massive food prize at the end. And they'll even be able to turn all these rooms into a nice temporary nest for now.
All right, ants, so are you ready to begin? Well, I'm just gonna pull this out and let the challenge begin.
Bro was just like
And yep,
flinging
the
the ants, like they're getting brain damage, bro.
Ants wasted no time to start swarming into this first room. Now you see, to progress to room number 2, the ants are going to have to chew through this hole of honeycomb.
Ooh,
Yes, I
boy,
literally
they gonna
bought
be-
a brick of honeycomb
Bro,
from a
but they're gonna be high off that sugar.
beehive.
Like if you
which was
give
very
honey to a baby, they're gonna be like, oh, a lot of sugar. If you give honey to an ant, oh my gosh, you're screwed.
expensive, and cut a little square off of it
That
for
looks
these
so
ants
good.
to chew through. Of course, because honey tastes super sugary, the ants wasted no time to absolutely start surrounding
Bro's
it.
gonna get
Oh my
fat.
gosh, the ants are swarming this first room. I legit can't even tell if they're making progress chewing through the honey right now.
Yeah, they're so hungry. They're probably gonna
see.
accidentally take a bite out of their friend's arm. Like, so good. Ow. You know what I mean? Like, they're
Based
all
off the
just
sheer
eating-
amount of movement, surely
Jesus.
progress was being made in here. But what was so interesting is somehow ants were actually already starting to get into the second room of the obstacle, even
Bro,
though they
what?
hadn't finished chewing through the first room of the honeycomb.
Bro,
Yeah, I don't know
cheated.
how some of the ants got here. I guess maybe they squeezed through some crack in the wall. But yeah, that kind of just goes to show how ants just kind of do
That's
whatever they
crazy.
want. Now, anyways, at this point,
Bro,
yeah, I don't know
cheated.
how some of the ants got here. I guess maybe they squeezed through some crack in the wall. But yeah, that kind of just goes to show how ants just kind of do
That's
whatever they
crazy.
want. Now, anyways, at this point, it was getting super late, and so I decided
Bro
to go to
fell
sleep
asleep.
while I left my cameras recording. And what I caught was kind of funny, but also kind of sad. Because while these ants literally never finished chewing through this honey all night, ants were making it even deeper into the obstacle. Yeah, this
They
is the
were
third
cheating,
room that
bruh.
had tons of flies in it that the ants were gonna have to attack, but somehow a couple workers already somehow made it inside. Some of them were attacking the flies, like this guy that was just walking around with one of them in his
He
mouth.
don't
But
care.
amazingly, the ants also started to dig into room 4. This final room was filled with dirt, and the couple workers that were in here actually started to dig through it by themselves. And even more interestingly, if you look over here, the ants were chewing through the roof of this final room
Oh, they
and
got
actually
balls.
completely just dug it in and
These
completely
ants
dug all the
don't
way through
care.
the entire thing until they had made it to the ending
They
with
be
all of
cheating,
the
bro.
food prize.
I hate when
These
people
ants
cheat.
are cheaters.
I
You're
just
telling me I
said
went
that.
to sleep and they did not even
Bro, they be
chew through
cheating.
this first.
All right, let's go to the final challenge.
This, of course, means the ants get to move on to their final challenge of the video, the spider web of
Ooh.
doom. Yes, sir, this final tank that is filled with this weird
Spider webs?
web stuff is the final obstacle. And the ants are gonna have to start at the bottom and somehow climb up these super thin
Okay.
strings to eventually make it to this platform with their prize
What?
on
Strawberries
the top.
And
and
the
money?
ants don't think this challenge.
Wait, do ants eat money?
Halfway through, I'll be adding in a jumping spider to defend the prize at the end, and we'll see if it actually eats any of the ants by jumping on them. And well, I just spent the last hour picking up a bunch of the ants from here, but they should be ready to go into our final obstacle.
The ants can make it to the strawberries.
Web everywhere.
And I didn't know ants ate strawberry and money. So like
the ants were pretty intrigued.
Because ants
many
eat
of them
dirt.
weren't climbing the string right away. Many were actually staying pretty still.
Let me know, do
bottom.
ants eat money? Let me know in the comments, because I could have sworn he put money up there next to the strawberries.
See, I made this tank by getting a hot glue gun with before it dries, you can stretch these super thin strings of glue. So I basically just shot this blue stuff everywhere and let it dry to make the strings. So this means that they are extremely thin. And the ants probably didn't even realize that it was something that they could climb at first.
All right, since no ants have climbed up yet, all that means is we need to increase our chances of it happening.
Bro's about to just get,
So
look, that's brain damage.
The rest of these guys
That's brain damage.
And, yeah,
Brain damage.
But interestingly, while I was dumping in these ants, a few of them actually landed.
A few of them actually died.
Spiderweb structure. It was cool to see how they very carefully
He ain't even
traversed
trying to
it.
do that. See, he's not even thinking at this point. He's just like, they got no brain
Trying their
power.
best not to fall off. But apparently these ants didn't realize there was an amazing prize awaiting for them at the end.
They eat $100 bills.
And because many of them just kind of started to climb downwards in the
Are they gonna eat the money? I want to see if
that
they
is
eat
not
the
what you guys
money.
are supposed to do. And yeah, while most of the ants were still not climbing at all, just kind of staying near the bottom, every now and then we would get a few brave ant scouts that would keep exploring through
Shout
this
out to
dense
y'all.
web
Y'all
structure.
doing that with
And
brain
over
damage.
time, some were actually getting surprisingly close to the end.
Dang, these ants might actually be able to complete this obstacle. But of course, I'm not going to let that happen until I get to feed my
Bro is
jumping
gonna put a
spider.
spider
Yes,
in
sir.
there.
I literally just went out and bought a new pet jumping spider for
That's
this
creepy,
obstacle.
bro.
Because of how small it is. Yeah, usually jumping spiders are actually decently sized, but
Bro
this one
bought
is
an extra
basically a
spot.
microscopic
Extra
baby that is the
small
perfect
spider.
size to hunt some ants. So I went ahead and carefully let him loose at the end.
All right, jumping spider, you best be
That's
very
messed
careful
up.
to not fall into all of these ants. But for now, let's see if you can take down some of these ants.
Now, initially, the jumping spider was just chilling on the
eating
strawberries,
strawberries.
but eventually I noticed him starting to walk around different parts of the tank, and eventually it even stepped onto the spiderweb string structure, where, of course, there were some ants not too far away. And thankfully, I wasn't gonna have to wait too long for some action, because this ant right here
He's got
started
balls.
to advance
He's either
closer
has
and
balls
closer to the
or brain
spider.
damage.
Interestingly, the spider didn't attack right away. It actually just stared at the ant as it
he's
slowly
probably like,
walked
"Dude, should I
by.
kill
Yeah,
him?
the
He's
ant was
got
getting
brain damage."
extremely close to the finish line when the spider decided it wanted to start following the ant. But unfortunately, the spider was too slow because the ant eventually made it fully to the finish line, where the spider then decided to take a nap under the money.
Oh, this ant is
He
so
made it.
lucky. Because literally, look right next to him. The spider
Bro's
was
tired as-
stalking him while he tried to make it to the platform. But
Bro's got a
thankfully, we were
tired
able to
spider
do
and
it
a
all
brain
right.
Yeah, I
damaged
guess the
ant.
spider wasn't hungry right now, or maybe he's too smart and knows these ants are some of the strongest insects in the world.
What's up, dummies? So today we're reacting to the deadliest insects versus somebody's finger. Now, this Terra Green guy has huge balls. I don't know why he's doing this. He's gonna be putting his finger up to a bunch of these deadly insects, and he's gonna see what happens. I don't even know what type of insect that is that looks like it came from Fortnite, Minecraft, and Roblox. I don't even know. Let's just watch this. This guy's insane.
This is the
Let's go.
world's largest beetle.
Jesus!
This is my finger. And in
Why?
this video, I'll be putting to the test how strong these beetles really are. And I'll also be showing you the craziest centipede species, insane alien-looking bugs, and so many other cool insects,
What?
starting with an assassin bug.
Yup,
What?
assassin bugs. And if that sounds deadly, it's because they kinda are, but they also are kinda cool. Let me show you why.
So I let these assassin bugs loose into a little enclosure.
How is this? Okay, I always say this when I react to his videos. How are you getting these bugs? Where are you going? You can't just go to Dollar General and be like, hey, you can't even go to like Pet Supplies Plus. This guy's got to be flying to like Africa and getting these assassin bugs, these big beetles. I want to see if he actually puts his finger in like the beetle. Oh my god, I touched my camera. That's not good. I want to see if he puts like his finger in the beetle's mouth,
for them, and now you can get a clear look at them.
Bro is definitely gonna get a missing finger.
If you look here, they have this super weird, sharp mouthpiece. This is called a rostrum.
That definitely hurts.
They can pierce into their prey, inject a special kind of digestive enzyme venom into the prey. Then using the rostrum, they slurp the insides of the prey up like a smoothie. It's insane stuff.
Heck?
And as you can see, I have multiple of these guys because I got a special kind of species that are able to live and hunt together.
You probably see why they're called assassin bugs now. So let's feed them a cricket and document their hunting.
All right,
Now,
we're
I
gonna
knew
see
this
how they
wasn't gonna last
kill
long
the
because
cricket.
assassin bugs are some of the best hunters out there. And I was right, because immediately this unlucky cricket happened to climb up the very piece of bark that all the assassin bugs were hiding under. And one of them was on the lookout and instantly spotted the cricket. Now it was time to hunt. Like real
He's gonna
assassins
be
who
an
move super
assassin.
stealthily, assassin bugs do the same exact thing. And this guy extremely slowly inched towards his target, and as the gap slowly closed, the assassin waited for the perfect opportunity to
Run
pounce
away!
onto the
Oh
cricket,
my
who
god.
was now in the grasp of the assassin bug. Right away, you can see
Jesus
the rostrum
Christ.
pierce into the cricket, and yeah, the inside of this cricket is now being turned into a juicy smoothie for this assassin bug to
What
slurp
the
up.
heck?
Sounds yummy.
All right, let me get this lid on. I don't want these guys biting me in my sleep or anything.
Okay, so he's going on to the next insect. I think by the time we get to number 5 right here, he's actually going to be putting his finger in the freaking... Okay, so let's just see what these insects are,
Insect
bro.
species is one I've been holding off on getting for a while, but it's a centipede.
Yep, I finally got one, even though they're all extremely venomous. But oh boy, let
Really?
me show you this guy.
Yeah, I didn't get a small one either. I got one of the largest species in the United States.
Bro, when he said centipede, I thought it was going to be like one of those little things. This dude got a damn... What even is that?
It's a giant Texas red-headed centipede.
What? Be careful,
As you
bro.
can tell, these guys are pretty evil because right away he started to try and
trying to
climb
kill
the
him.
sides of the container to escape.
Put a
which
lid
I
on that thing.
Definitely wouldn't want.
Put a lid on
We all
that
know
thing.
The infamous Coyote Peterson who gets stung and bit by everything. Well, he got bit by a very similar centipede to
Really?
this, and yeah. Based off his reaction, you could probably tell it's something I want to try and avoid, probably.
Just cut the cameras. But it's
Wow.
definitely worth the risk because I get to show you guys how insane of a pet they are. Let me get them in this.
This dude has like pets, like these insane insects as pets. What is wrong with you? Where's your family? How do they feel about this?
Now, these guys usually live in desert environments, so we're gonna use a bit of sand for this enclosure.
Okay,
but also
shout
a
out to
solid
him.
mix of dirt
That's
and
nice.
other natural stuff, because it's actually what gives them the best conditions
That's
in their
cool.
enclosure.
That's
Then we
cool.
want to give this guy some nice natural stuff to hide under, and finally a couple
Man, this is
skulls
cool.
in here to signify how deadly these guys are to other insects.
All right, let's get this centipede in the enclosure.
Okay, so he's
Please
putting 'em
don't
in
bite
there.
me too. That would be much appreciated. But oh,
I would just dump him.
go on. Yep,
Dump
yep,
him.
just like that.
Dump him.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, this dude immediately got to walking around his enclosure, and what makes these guys so cool is obviously how many legs they have.
Yeah,
They're
that's
called
kinda creepy.
because centa means 100, and they basically got like 100 legs. But not
No
exactly
way.
100, because I actually did count how many legs this guy had, and it was
53?
only 40. So yeah, their name is a lie, it's not 100,
40.
but I mean, it's still a lot.
It's so cool to watch these guys walk around, but it's even cooler to watch them eat. So you already know, I got a cricket. And let's not waste any time. Let's drop this thing in here.
And
Bro is
things
just bullying
immediately
the
were
cricket.
interesting because I dropped the cricket directly next to the centipede's face. But thankfully for the cricket, the centipede was
They're being
distracted, and
friends.
so the cricket walked straight past his face and kind of just walked onto his body. And then he kind of
Oh.
started to ride it like a train. Dang, bro, you got to be careful because this train is it's definitely about to eat you, bro. I'm just gonna be honest. And I was correct because only 30 seconds later, the centipede once again came across the cricket, and this time the centipede definitely saw him. And so the centipede started to follow in the direction the cricket ran. And so I also followed the centipede with my camera, and that's when I saw the two met again. And this time the centipede made his attack. The cricket tried to escape through the logs, but as I looked around the corner,
Oh!
it's pretty clear the cricket wasn't able to escape. Because he was now in the grasp of this insane apex predator of the desert and was getting munched up. Good job, centipede. Even though you are a little bit creepy,
Oh!
it's actually super cool to watch you hunt.
Hey, bro, I kind of feel bad for these freaking crickets, bro.
Up on the world's largest beetle and testing how strong they are. However, I still gotta show you the next crazy insect.
Okay, so he said once we get to number 5, he's gonna test how strong they are. He's gonna put his finger. That's insane. Let's see what
pet
number
on the
3
list,
is.
which is a giant millipede.
Now, the reason I'm
giant
showing a millipede
millipede.
right after showing the centipede is because they're very similar in a lot of ways, but they're also very different in a lot of ways.
Now, the first way they're different is, well, you know how centipedes have that absolutely bonkers bite like I was talking about that's just extremely painful? Well, millipedes are basically the exact opposite, and they're some of the most friendliest creatures of all time.
And to demonstrate that, I'm gonna let this thing crawl on me.
Dude, okay, would you let this thing crawl on you? It looks like a big dookie.
Oh my gosh, the sensation of like these 300 tiny little legs crawling on my hand is just
that is
so
a
weird.
lot
I don't
of
even know
legs.
how to describe it.
But if
Look
I
at all
had
those
to, I would
legs.
just say it's a very tickly, because as you can see, each one of the legs on the millipede is almost kind of sharp, which lets it get a really good grip with
So it's
what
just like,
it's standing on.
oh,
But yeah,
I can
it's
feel
just
it.
such a weird feeling. I even let this guy crawl on this cool snake plushie I had sitting around. And wait a second, this isn't any ordinary snake plushie. This is the brand new
Bro, what?
Yeah,
All right, we're back. Yeah, if y'all want to buy his plushie or whatever you can.
Millipede for this video.
Let's see.
I balled out and got the most massivest millipede of all time, called a giant African millipede. Which
African?
isn't
That's
really
why
a
it's
very
so
creative
dark?
name. They just kind of said it's giant, where it's from, and that it's a millipede. But yeah, I'm not gonna complain. I guess it's easy to remember.
Now, there's just one problem because the place I bought this from specifically said in the description, do not use cocoa fiber. Now, if you didn't know, cocoa fiber is basically like the holy grail of dirt for terrarium builders. It's just like a special kind of dirt that holds humidity very well.
But they said don't use cocoa fiber, so is he gonna do it?
Yes,
Don't
yeah,
do it.
It's like unheard of to not use this in a build. Like I've literally never made a build without this. Like what the heck, bro?
So since cocoa fiber was all I had, I drove to
Bro
the
just
greatest
spilled that all over the floor.
What the heck, bro?
Look.
Since cocoa fiber
He
was
just
all I
spilled
had,
all
I
over the
drove to
floor.
the greatest store of all time behind Walmart, Petco, of course. And there I got the special kind of dirt that is not cocoa fiber, but I also got some of this mulch stuff, which is like wood chips, and a bit of moss.
But for
Okay,
the
what's he
secret
gonna do?
ingredient for the millipede tank, it's this thing, which I'll show you very soon.
So when I got back home, I started mixing together all my new dirt materials. All these materials I chose are specifically designed to hold just as much moisture as the cocoa fiber, if not more, which as you can see...
I just realized, what does this guy do? He's gonna put the millipede in here. He just built a whole tank. Does he just keep it? Does he keep it as a pet? Does he throw it away when the video's over? Like, what does he do with these bugs?
This super duper moisty.
All right, it's perfect that it's now super wet because if it was too dry, the millipede would not survive very long. They dry out super easily. So yeah, I'll have to spray this thing a lot to make sure it's always nice and
Shout
moist.
out to this guy for treating
Keep this so wet,
millipede
mold might
nice.
actually grow on the sides of the enclosure. That's where my secret ingredient comes in.
I got springtails. Now, if you've seen my
that?
other videos, you probably don't think it's that cool, but bruh, I mean, I still think they're cool, okay? Be free,
What
boys.
Yeah, springtails are just these super tiny white bugs that will go around and clean up mold if it grows. So yeah, they're
That's
perfect.
cool.
Finally, I just put in some tiny bits of cork bark around to decorate the place and add some
What's he
cover.
gonna do with the
There we go.
millipede?
This is a fantastic
Is he gonna put in a
millipede
cricket?
enclosure. Let's go ahead and
see
get
if it
this guy
eats the
inside.
cricket,
Be
even though it's the
free,
most
boy. I hope
friendly
you like your new home. Spent a long
insect.
time on it. Well, I only spent like 10 minutes on it, but yeah, I hope you like it.
Anyways, after he felt comfortable enough, he uncurled up from his ball and got to exploring around his enclosure. Now, there's not really much to talk about with these guys, unfortunately, because they kind of just walk around and don't do much else.
That's
the main
so
thing that
many
makes them
legs,
cool and
bro.
also similar to centipedes is the crazy amount of legs they have. And
That's
the average
so
millipede
many.
has a way more legs than a centipede, as you can see. Very nice.
Wow.
Yeah, my guy just wandered around the enclosure for like 30 minutes.
Bro is
But
just
eventually,
burning
once he feels
calories, bro.
comfortable enough, he'll start to burrow under the floor like you could see in this footage. And he'll basically just chill there for like 90% of his life, just eating the dead organic matter or something. I don't really know.
What?
But yeah, they're pretty cool. Anyways, next up on the list, I
right,
actually
number
got something
4.
very interesting I've never showed on the channel before. A vinegaroon.
This is
Huh?
the closest thing to a
Vinegaroon?
mutant creature on Earth I think there is. And it's extremely cool. I'll show you why.
Yeah, you heard that right. A mutant creature. And the reason I say that is because look at this thing. It straight up has the body and claws of a scorpion, a tail that looks like a rat tail, and these weird
What
antenna
the
things that lobsters have.
Bro, give him your finger already. Let me see you with this finger.
Yeah, this thing is a weird.
But probably the weirdest thing about this creature is in its name, because it's called a vinegaroon, and if you separate the words in there, there's vinegar and oon.
I
Vinegar
don't know
and
what
goon.
the oon part of its name means, to be honest, but the reason it has a vinegar in its name is because this creature has the ability, when threatened, to arch its back up and shoot a special acid type of vinegar out of it to spray all over the
Really?
threat, potentially blinding them.
Shoots
so
out
the vinegar
white
rune
stuff?
can get away, and yeah, it's pretty crazy.
What the?
And I'll be showing you guys exactly what that looks like. Let's get him in his enclosure so we can show it off. This one should work pretty well.
Now, the build is pretty simple for these guys, and thankfully, I can use cocoa fiber again. Phew. But yeah, I filled about 1/3 of the way up with dirt, and then I scattered some pieces of wood and bark around. This time, I wanted to add some greenery, so I tore up bits of this moss and spread that around. I love this stuff because while it might look pretty dry right now, all it needs is a nice little spray to come back to life. And yeah, this stuff will just grow super fast over time as long as I keep this enclosure nice and moist.
Anyways, Mr. Vinegaroon, this is your new home. Hopefully you like it. Let me just gently release you.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie. I would just dump him out. Just throw him.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
And yeah, immediately after putting this dude inside, he ran straight up to the glass to get a nice little drink of water off the droplets sitting there. It's pretty cool to see him
It looks like
using
he's
his
drinking
claws
water
to
like
shovel
this.
the drops of water into his mouth. So yeah, dang, I guess he was pretty thirsty.
Oh yeah, bro, I almost forgot. Let me get a water dish in there. Dude, that guy was thirsty. He instantly went and tried to get some water, so I'm just gonna go put that on. Oh no, but crickets love me off Colonel, so yeah, I mean, he might not even eat at all, but you already know I got a little cricket.
All right, he's putting a cricket inside of there. We're gonna see this Vinegaroon shoot the white
next
stuff.
to the Vinegaroon. So some action could theoretically happen right away. But if you've seen my other videos with nocturnal animals like scorpions, you'd probably know that they straight up just like to not eat during the day. Yeah, they'd rather let insects crawl right next to their mouth instead of eating them apparently. But with this Vinegaroon, it was a different story because right after a minute of the cricket standing next to him, I noticed he actually started to strike towards the cricket to actually try and eat it. That means this Vinegaroon was in hunting mode, and the next time the cricket came by, I noticed the Vinegaroon use his little antenna to locate the location of the cricket, and then he walked over to strike it again. But unfortunately, he also missed once again.
You missed!
However, a bit later, I noticed that the Vinegaroon had found the little water dish I put in there for him. He then proceeded to walk into the water to take a little bath, and I guess he was getting a bit more of a drink too, but the cricket was directly next to him.
What is the cricket doing?
When the two creatures got a little bit closer, the Vinegaroon once again struck and missed, but this time he was not going to give up and chased the cricket down to finally get a hold of it, all while splashing around in the water. But dang, bro now had an absolutely delicious, juicy cricket in his grasp, and yeah, he just started devouring it. Good catch, bro.
Man, I feel bad for these crickets, bro. All right, we're going to number 5. He's finally going to put his finger.
And of course, I have the largest beetle species in
Jesus
the world.
Christ.
But I also have this one with insanely sharp mandibles, and this one that's pretty tiny, but it also has mandibles.
Bro has 3 of the deadliest crickets in the world, bro. Or beetles.
Now, I'll be starting with the smallest beetle and testing the weakest objects in this guy's mouth. As the beetles get bigger, the objects will get bigger too. Until at the end, I'm going to be putting my finger in this guy's mouth.
No way!
Thankfully, though, I get to start with this little guy. It's a lot nicer.
This is called a rainbow stag beetle. And while it's the smallest beetle I have, it's still pretty insane looking because if you look very closely, it actually is a shiny purple color.
Yeah.
There's not that many animals that have a purple color like this, so yeah, it's pretty cool. And I already built this guy a little enclosure, so I put him inside. Even though this place is pretty small, that's exactly how they like it because they kind of just chill around all day and don't really move much.
Now, the first object I'm going to test with this guy is a little pack of jelly. Technically, this won't test their strength, but I just want to show you how they eat because it's actually pretty interesting.
Now, beetles like this are cool because while they got their mandibles here, this is actually not their mouth. Their mouth is actually under the mandibles or right here. So yeah, that's where they eat. The reason they have mandibles is so in the wild, the males can fight each other, and whoever wins the fight gets to go home with the female beetle. It's pretty interesting. But anyways, I went and put the jelly right in front of this guy. And these guys love sweet stuff like jelly or fruit. And in fact, I think this jelly is banana flavored, which is one of the beetle's favorite foods. So I thought this dude was just gonna start devouring it up right away. But in fact, he seemed kind of defensive and actually
bro, there's a bunch of dirt on it.
But after I really kind of started to shove it in his face, I think he got a little taste of it. And
why would you want bananas with dirt on it?
Happy because he actually started to then eat it, and it's actually very cool to see how their mouth works.
That's disgusting. Okay, now he's on to the second beetle.
So I didn't waste any time, and I just went.
He's gonna feed this one some cardboard and see what happens.
And he sort of started to close his mandibles mandibles on it, but
That
I'm
looks
not
weak.
gonna lie, it was a kind of lackluster effort. I even
that's
tried
weak.
putting it in at
He's
different
tired.
angles to see if he could actually crush
That
it.
beetle
but
is
yeah,
tired,
we were
bro.
doing a good job.
He needs
so I
some
decided
milk.
to give him an easier object to crush, a paper towel. Surely he could at least make a hole through this with his insanely sharp mandibles. But yet again, even after putting it right
Bro,
at the
you got a
super sharp
Timu beetle,
part,
bro. Okay, I
anyways,
skipped
what
that
I
one.
really-
That one's dumb, but we're gonna go to the freaking big one where he's putting his finger in
Excited
it.
about is testing this bad boy's bite. Well, I mean, I'm not actually that excited. I do gotta put my finger in here, but
Ah!
let's just do this.
Yep, it's finally time for the craziest and also largest beetle in the world. A Hercules
Jesus
beetle.
Christ.
You guys have no idea how hard it was for me to get my hands on one of these. They were out of stock everywhere, and I had to message so many people, but I finally did. It was super expensive, but it's definitely worth it.
Bro
These
is
guys live in
petting
the
him.
South American rainforests, and unlike other beetles in this video, they literally have fur on them. Yeah, that's how you know they're exotic. So that's not even mentioning they have these absolutely bonkers mandibles.
Yeah, that's
Cause
huge.
of what? The mandibles are basically like double the size of the body.
And I got a pretty solid sized enclosure for this guy, but I'll once again be doing this test outside the tank since they're so massive.
Now, before I put my finger in the mandibles, I first got something very close to a finger to find out the real
Ooh.
damage I was about to face.
Yeah, I got a carrot, because you know, whenever I see videos of people like testing their fingers and stuff like car door windows or something, they always use a carrot first. as,
Carrot
like, a
is
good
pretty
representation
similar
of what
to
it's
the
like before a
finger.
Bro, imagine he just chops clean through this carrot, and then I'm gonna have to put my finger in right after that. Jeez.
Anyways, I went and put the carrot in the mandibles without wasting any time. And guys, to be honest, I was kind of expecting this to rip through the carrot because they just look vicious.
This thing is
moving the carrot
lazy.
over tons of different parts of the mandibles, the most the beetle did was give a very light pinch to the carrot. And yeah, all it took was a
Bro
bit
got
of
the
wiggling
laziest
to get the
beetles
carrot out.
ever.
Bruh, wait a second. I'm not even scared to do this anymore. Yo, that thing barely affected this carrot.
Yeah, when
I'm
he
just
puts
gonna
his
put my
finger in.
right now. Hercules beetle, you don't even scare
When
me.
he does
Let's
this-
do this.
So without wasting time, I just put my finger in. Found the perfect position to get pinched in the best way, and then the beetle started to close his horn mandibles down a bit. But I'm gonna be completely honest, this basically felt like nothing.
I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of a pinch, but it is not bad.
Bro got Timu beetles, bro. What the f?
يلا خلينا نوجدوا
هذا روتيني سو ايزي مع فينوس نورمال لي بغيتي